that they were very clear from the moment that he vetoed it that they were planned to come back in January and force the issue again. And this is part of the strategy from the Democrats. They have a very popular Republican governor. Most polls put his approval rating above 70%. And that's in a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1. So in order to make him somebody that they can compete against in 2018, they need to be able to show what they did that Hogan could not. And this this bill about renewable energy and trying to get more of the state's electricity to come from renewable sources is one of the key ways they intend to paint the governor as someone who is not on the side of most Democrats. And so they have vowed to attempt to override it. Whether or not they have the votes in both chambers is not immediately clear, but that's definitely one of the first things that we're going to see in the next couple of weeks.
If you'd like to join the conversation with a question or comment, give us a call, 800-433-8850. If you have any questions about upcoming legislation in Maryland, what's on your radar, and especially what's on your radar that does not seem to be reaching Maryland's State House in Annapolis, 800-433-8850, or send us an email to kojo@wamu.org. Aaron Cox, when it comes to fracking, environmentalists are pushing to make the state's temporary moratorium on fracking a permanent ban. What's the likelihood of that happening this year?
So this is an issue that has come up year after year, and the same political figures that are in a position to approve it or deny it are still in the same spots. That said, so the terms of the debate, the people in charge of the debate have not shifted, so the politics haven't shifted that much, but that the terms of the debate have changed a little bit, that there's been some studies come out about the danger of fracking, and whether or not that's enough to sway people who are opposed to a ban, we don't really know yet. But what we do know is that there are currently regulations written by the Hogan administration that will go into place when a existing temporary moratorium expires, and the legislature has chosen to stall on those to make sure that they gave themselves more time to decide whether or not they wanted to enact another moratorium. I think it's likely that we'll see another temporary ban. I would be very surprised if a permanent ban passed, given that Maryland legislature tends to act in half measures before they go the full way. But it's definitely one of the issues that will be debated hotly here for the next couple of months.
Well, Governor Hogan is not exactly a Trump supporter, but when it comes to issues like fracking or school choice, do you see him using a Republican-controlled federal government to his advantage to push his more conservative-leaning policies?
I've covered Larry Hogan since he started running for governor, and he doesn't have a lot of conservative-leaning policies. I don't see him. He's a Democrat. He's a Republican in a Democratic state, and he didn't get elected by acting like Republicans in Congress, and he didn't get elected by acting like a conservative Republican. So there's not very many issues on which you can really paint him with a partisan brush, and that's both by design and by nature. So, I see him, what he is, though, is a pragmatist. Okay. And so I see him leaning on a Trump administration to help him with things like infrastructure spending.
Allow me to interrupt for 1 second, because we have our listeners now back